The origin and mythos of Loki. Loki was a crafty trickster in Norse mythology who could change his shape and sex. Despite the fact that his father was the enormous Fárbauti, he was accepted into the Aesir. Loki was portrayed as Odin and Thor's buddy, assisting them with their brilliant plots but occasionally causing humiliation and difficulties for them and himself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Today, we're going to talk about the origin and mythos of Loki. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. He also appears as the gods' adversary, barging into their dinner uninvited and demanding their wine. He was the primary cause of the deity Baldur's death. Loki was bound to a rock as punishment by the entrails of one or more of his sons, according to certain traditions, thereby mimicking the Greek figures Prometheus and Tantalus. Loki, like Prometheus, is regarded as a deity of fire. Loki has been described as the son of the giants Fárbauti and Laufey, an Icelandic poet, and historian Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda. This makes him Helblindi and Byalistra's brother. Loki had many children, including animals, monsters, and beasts. Loki had two offspring with his wife, the goddess Sigyn, Narfi, Nari, and Vali. His mating with the Jotun Angrboda, on the other hand, produced the wolf, a reference to Fenrir, the wolf who swallows Odin in Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, or the demise of the world. Loki gave birth to the horse Sleipnir after mating with the stallion Svalfari, according to another poem. In the Prose Edda, Loki also fathered the Midgard snake Jormungandr and the terrifying monster Hel, ruler of the realm of the dead, the underworld. Those three Loki children are fated to wreak havoc on the Aesir gods, ushering in Ragnarok. Jormungandr, for example, is set to murder Thor at the apocalypse, while the wolf Fenrir is set to devour Odin, the all-father god. Loki's most heinous crime was the murder of Baldur, the son of the goddess Frigg and Odin. It is unknown whether Loki executed this crime out of malice or envy. Frigg, the Vanir goddess of love and fertility, commands all living and inanimate objects in the universe not to hurt Baldur. As a result, her son is unbeatable. Frigg, on the other hand, fails to consult with the mistletoe, believing that the tree could never hurt Baldur. Baldur, having discovered his newfound invincibility, requests that the gods throw all they have at him. All of the arrows fired at Baldur bounced off him one by one. Loki constructs an arrow from mistletoe, well aware that Frigg forgot to consult with the plan. The arrow is then presented by the god of mischief to the blind deity Hodur, Baldur's brother. Hodur fires an arrow straight into the heart of Baldur, killing him instantly. Hodur escapes the scene into the woods after realizing he's been duped. Hermodr, one of the gods, rushes to the underworld in an attempt to resurrect Baldur. However, he is unable to meet Hel, the ruler of the underworld standards. Frustrated and enraged by Loki's activities, the gods pursue Loki, who had transformed into a salmon, to avoid capture. According to the Prose Edda, the gods eventually arrest Loki and sentence him to a life of torment and torture. The Aesir gods are also on the hunt for Loki's two children, Narfi and Vali. The latter was transformed into a wolf, which went on to murder Narfi. The gods then bound Loki to a stone with Narfi's innards. They put a venomous snake on Loki's head, and whenever the snake's venom fell on top of Loki's face, the sly god screamed and writhed in misery, causing tremors all across the universe. The death of Baldur contributed to Ragnarok, the end of a cycle or the demise of the old gods. Baldur's death, also known as the Shining God, heightened the hostility between the Aesir gods and the Jotuns, who were frequently aided by evil monsters from the underworld. According to an Old Norse prophecy, Ragnarok will begin when Loki breaks free from his bonds and leads the army of the giants in a war against the Aesir gods. Loki and other evil spirits from the underworld are fated to sail to Vigritur, the battleground. The majority, if not all, of the Aesir gods are doomed to death. Odin, Thor, and Heimdallr are among those mentioned. Odin would be devoured by Loki's offspring, Fenrir. Thor would perish at the hands of Jormungandr. the sea serpent, and Heimdall and Loki would both perish after a fierce battle. Loki, disguised as a mare, mated with Svalfari, a builder's stallion. Sleipnir, a lightning-fast 8-legged horse, was born from marriage and eventually served as Odin's trusted horse. The events of the story start with the Aesir gods commissioning the services of a builder to erect a wall around their dwelling in order to protect it from potential invaders. In return for his work, the builder asks that the goddess Frigga become his wife and be handed to him as a gift. In addition to that, he requests the moon and the sun. The gods agreed to the terms of the bargain on the condition that the builder use all 3 seasons to complete the structure. In addition to this, they demand that the builder do the work alone without the assistance of anyone else. The gods were unaware of the fact that the builder owned a formidable horse named Svalfari. The workhorse of the builder is responsible for doing all of the heavy lifting and ensuring that the project stays on track to be finished. The gods were concerned that they would not be able to pay the builder in full, so they demanded that Loki interfere and slow down the builder's progress. As his life hangs in the balance, Loki transforms himself into a stunning mare in the hopes of distracting the builder's stallion from the construction job. Svalfari does what was supposed to happen and follows the mare into the woods. The builder is unable to meet the deadline since the stallion is no longer available. After the builder discovered that the gods had played a trick on him, he stormed into the halls of the gods, only to be met by Thor. Thor then faced the builder. Thor ultimately causes the builder's death by his own hand. Sleipnir, an 8-legged horse, was born from the union between Loki, who was still disguised as a mare, and the builder's stallion. Loki was responsible for the conception of Sleipnir. It was said that the incredibly quick and powerful horse was the best horse in the entirety of the 9 realms. The situation known as flying is one in which 2 or more parties engage in a verbal altercation, also known as a fight, by way of reciting poems or other forms of poetry. According to one version of the tale, which can be found in the poem Lokasena, the god of mischief, Loki got into a heated argument with the other gods while they were partying in the hall of Aesir, who was a sea nymph or giantess. Loki insulted the gods in a number of different ways, calling them cowards, making fun of their hubris, and making fun of the gods' filthy sexual habits. After hearing the gods heap praise on Fámjin and Eldir, both of whom were associated with Gur, Loki, filled with envy, decides to assassinate Fámjin. The gods, taken aback by Loki's disregard for their authority, expel the trickster god from the gathering and send him fleeing into the surrounding woods. As soon as the gods had made their way back to the Hall of Gur to begin their feast, Loki made his way back there as well. This time around, Loki is heard insulting everyone in the hall, including the likes of Odin, Var, Odin's son, Frigg, Ian's wife and mother of Baldur, Hein, Gefjun, the brothers Freyr and Freyja, and Jor, Thor and Freyja's father, Hind, Freyja's father, Heimdall, watchman of the gods, and Sif, Thor's wife. As Loki continues to imbibe more and more mid, an alcoholic beverage, his tirade of insults flying goes unabated. The surrounding mountains start to shake violently all of a sudden, which is a sure indicator that Thor is close by. The god of thunder issues a command to Loki to take a seat and to stop insulting the other gods in the room. In addition, Thor refers to Loki as an evil creature and threatens to strike Loki with his mystical hammer, Mjolnir. Loki gives up and flees the hall because he is afraid that Thor will actually follow through with his threat to strike him. However, before departing the Hall of Aegir, Loki pronounces a litany of curses upon each and every one of the Aesir gods that are present there. That's a wrap on the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.